Buddhism is considered one of the top 5 religions in the world, listed at number 4. So the question here is Buddhism actually a religion, or is it just a philosophy or way of life? This topic is up for debate, and we're going to talk about it in this video today. Welcome! I'm Amy, and this is the Mahayana Mama. Here we talk about Buddhism, intentional living, and conscious parenting. I'm so happy to have you here watching this video. I have personally been a Buddhist for almost 9 years now, and when I tell people that I'm Buddhist, there's often a lot of curiosity, which I just love. In the West, you don't often come across people that self-identify as Buddhist. And then that curiosity is often followed up with questions. People want to learn more about it. They, say, oh, I've heard about Buddhism and I've always wanted to learn more, but I don't know that much. And especially here in the West, we don't learn much about Buddhism. We have to seek out that information for ourselves. And one of the things that gets kind of confusing is when someone says they're Buddhist, what do they actually believe? And do they practice as a religion? So is it the same as, someone that says they're Jewish or Catholic or Christian or Muslim? Is it in the same category where you can kind of say, okay, so, they believe in this God instead of this God, or they believe in, this holy book versus this holy book. And the thing that's different about Buddhism is that it does not have those same correlations. So when I talk about being a Buddhist, I'm not talking about it from a religious sense, but I'm also not talking about it from a secular Buddhist sense either. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later in the video. But for me, it is definitely a way of life, and it is a sort of a path that I use to help me investigate this world that I live in, help me understand myself, understand this world, and kind of figure out how I can work with what I know. What do I know? I know that I'm alive. I know I can make choices, and those choices result in experiences that either cause me suffering or they cause me joy. And like most people on this planet, I would like to have more joyous experiences and less suffering and problems. So Buddhism is sort of my guide. So let's dive in a little bit more into this inquiry of religion or philosophy. So where we really begin is that this question can only be answered if we're understanding what we mean by religion. So what is your definition of religion? And if you even do a Google search on the word religion, you will come up with all sorts of different descriptions on what it means. Some talk about it being, a spiritual inquiry, looking at the nature of reality, how we exist in the world. And other definitions talk specifically about there being some sort of divine presence, belief in a God, understanding, how we came here, creation, and what happens after we die. So there's specific questions that we kind of think of that religion answers for us. So it begins with what you mean by the word religion. And on one hand, Buddhism looks very similar to a lot of other religions. You see congregations, if you will. Buddhists call them sanghas, but you see people coming together to practice this together. You see temples, so you see religious places, and people act in a religious manner when they go there. They treat them like it's a spiritual, sacred place. You also have monasteries. So you have people that have dedicated their life to this practice, and they have taken oaths, and they live a very specific monastic lifestyle. And you see that in other religions as well. You also see some ceremonies and rituals, and then you also see some sacred texts. Now, Buddhism doesn't have one compilation, like one canon of texts like a Bible or the Quran. It's it's not the same in that regard. There's lots and lots and lots of texts and sutras, and so there isn't that same unified place that you go to for the answers that you're seeking or the questions you're looking to answer. But there are sacred texts that are said to be actual words and teachings of the Buddha, and of his disciples and those that have followed his lineage. But on the other hand, a lot of people think that religion deals with God, some sort of creator or someone that people worship, something divine. And that is where Buddhism sort of does not meet the criteria. In Buddhism, there is no discussion or belief in a creator God from a Buddhist perspective. There are Buddhists absolutely that might believe in God or a God or gods, but in the actual teachings of the Buddha, he does not talk about creation, he does not talk about a creator God or worshiping any sort of God. I'm going to talk in a later video about God in Buddhism, so I'm going to save that for another time, but for right now, just know that that's where the division kind of happens, where if people are talking about religion, and specifically that religion deals with God or a creator God, Buddhism does not fit that category. So Buddhism can be practiced as a religion, and it is many places in the world. Buddhism has definitely become a cultural tradition, and especially the countries where Buddhism, flourished back 2,500 years ago. But you will find Buddhist teachers that say that that Buddha did not actually teach people to develop a religion. He didn't teach in order to create Buddhism. Buddha was not a Buddhist. That was something that sort of developed, that people started calling themselves as they were following the teachings of the Buddha. So the Buddha taught that the whole goal is an investigation, not a faith. So it's not that you're told these are the answers, this is what happened, this is what you should believe, and then you have faith in that and you believe in that. Buddha taught that the path to finding more freedom in your life and to have less problems is by doing a thorough investigation, a curiosity about life. So you are investigating what's going on in your mind. How are you seeing the world? What are the things that you say, and what are the actions that you take, and are those producing actions that you're happy with? How does that affect other people around you when you act and think certain ways? So it's a way of opening up and looking more deeply at things, and you investigate, and then the teachings that Buddha gave are sort of a guide on skillful ways to approach questioning things, and practices that can help you with this investigation. And it's all about testing it out yourself. That's a big point of Buddha's teachings, is that don't just take his word for it or anybody else's word for it, no matter how prestigious, no matter how much you think they know. You must investigate for yourself, test it out for yourself, and see if it is true for you. So the Buddha did talk about a journey that is spiritual, yes, but not religious. Buddha did not say, believe this, and Buddha was not a god. Buddha is not someone that is worshipped, so that can be a misunderstanding, especially amongst Westerners, that you see people, bowing to the Buddha and things that we would view as worshiping, and that is not the case. It is honoring, not worshiping, which is there's a big difference there. The power of the Buddha lies in his teachings, not in him as a person. Yes, we may look to him as an example to inspire us, but it's his teachings that provide us the greatest inspiration. We see that he did this very detailed and thorough investigation of himself and his perspective of the world. And when he attained enlightenment, he then wanted to share that with other people so that they would have some sort of path, because that's what he was looking for. He was looking for, a way to make sense of this world and, what it all is, and so he put it out there as, this is what I've discovered. These are the truths that I have found. Now it's up to you to investigate this that I say and see if it's also true for you. So many of the Buddha's teachings are about the nature of reality and our human condition. He also taught how to approach our investigation with intention and with skill. And one of those tools is meditation. And he also set forth very specific ethical standards on ways to view the world, ways to think, ways to train the mind to think and see things, and then also how to act with other people, how to conduct ourselves. So if we follow the ethics that Buddha suggests, then it will help us further ourselves down the path of being able to be skillful in our practice and being able to make progress in this search for freedom and happiness. In the West, the idea of secular Buddhism has become really popular, especially in the United States. So we start to get into this territory of trying to kind of separate the cultural traditions of Buddhism from, religion, and taking just the teachings and bringing those into something that we understand and that we can practice. So secular Buddhism can be very helpful for people because they can take the things in Buddhism that don't contradict with any other religion. So anybody can meditate, and meditation is helpful for most people. And meditation is something that has been done spiritually in many traditions, not just in Buddhism, and it's also being studied in science, and it has shown to be incredibly effective and a very important tool for this quest that we have of happiness, of understanding ourselves. So anybody can do meditation. These ethical guidelines are also very similar to many other religious traditions. So, you want to speak the truth and speak kindly. You want to treat people with respect. You don't want to take things that's not yours. You don't want to hurt people. So there's a lot of similarities in that regard as well. Buddhism also places a large emphasis on compassion and love, which if you look at, again, many other traditions, there is an underlying theme of bringing people together, community, love for all people. But where it gets a little tricky when you talk about a religion versus a way of life are a few core Buddhist topics. One of those is rebirth, and another one is karma. So it's interesting to look at how secular Buddhists approach rebirth and karma. And rebirth, we can often think of as lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, which is Buddha's teachings on samsara, how we're all stuck in this constant cycle of, we're born and we die, and we're born and we die, and we're just in this cycle until we can free ourselves from it, which is enlightenment. That's freeing of our mind completely. So rebirth also can mean that there is a constant changing and a rebirth happening in every moment. So nothing ever remains the same. So as I'm doing this video, my body is constantly in a state of change. Everything is constantly evolving and transitioning into something else. So every moment is an opportunity to begin again. It's something new each moment. So secular Buddhism, from what I understand, tends to focus on the rebirth of moment to moment and not the metaphysical lifetime to lifetime. Karma is a tricky topic, and it's pretty complicated and hard for most people to understand. I myself included. I've done a lot of research and learning about karma, and it's just one of those things that it can be simplified into cause and effect. You do this and then this happens, and what you do kind of comes back around to you. But it's much more than that. And so this idea of karma is central in a lot of Buddhist teachings, where there's an imprint that happens. So the actions that you do put an imprint that then ripen at a later time. And that karma is what dictates how this rebirth plays out, how you will come back again and again. So again, in secular Buddhism, karma is one of those topics that's going to be a little bit tricky to look into. So with all that said, the main thing to keep in mind here is that Buddhism is not a set of beliefs that someone learns and then believes. Buddhism is an investigation. It's a way of learning about yourself and your world and making sense of it for yourself. So as you do your investigations and you question, religion versus way of life, and you start learning more about Buddhism and its teachings and philosophy and practices, the most important thing that I wish for you to remember is Buddhism is not something you believe, it's something you do. So that's it for this video. Thanks again for watching. I'm so happy to have you here. May you be well, may you be happy, may you find peace. See you next time.